Hey mamas, welcome to Modern Nurture, where mamas meet at the intersection of instincts and evidence. I'm your host, Jess, and today you're listening to one of the episodes in the Stay at Home Mom series. This is a series I recorded when I was about to become a stay at home mom after working in tech and engineering for 10 plus years. So I interviewed a bunch of moms who were in high demand careers and made the choice to become stay at home moms. We talk about why they made the decision, what kind of hurdles they had to overcome to be able to leave work and stay at home, and how the transition went, because it can be rough for some or all, and how the transition went, and how things have gone since then, any regrets, what they loved about it, and we talk to mamas in all seasons of life. We have a grandmother, we have mamas who are still in the thick of it with toddlers, and everything in between. So I got a lot out of these. I really enjoyed the conversations. I hope you will too. And if you enjoyed this kind of, real talk kind of conversation with just chatting with moms, comment real talk below, comment real talk on Instagram, and I will do more series like this. Thanks for listening. Let's get into it. Alyssa, thanks so much for joining me. We are here today to talk all things stay-at-home mom. So would you mind introducing yourself and then we'll get into it?
Of course. Thank you so much for having
Of
me.
course.
So, as just said, my name is Alyssa. I'm really excited to be here today. I have two toddlers. One is 3 and one is 2.
Ooh.
Both unexpected pregnancies. I was very career oriented, very career driven. Found out I was pregnant in the middle of my master's degree. Um, and it has been a really interesting journey since. I experienced a lot of burnout by trying to be a stay at home mom while also trying to have a career and some sense of self outside of my children. And it resulted in a couple really serious health scares and me needing to take a step back and reevaluate what are my priorities? What do I need out of this season? I ended up writing a book because of it, Mommy Needs a Minute, because I realized a lot of women are struggling with that drive for having an identity and being someone and working towards something outside of your children, but also feeling like your children need you and it's such a short time where they need you like they need you now, and trying to balance that sacrifice without being resentful. It's all very complicated.
Yeah, that is true. Wow, that's a crazy story. So you sort of talked a little bit about it. So I guess what was your career? What were you doing before the unexpected pregnancies? Hey, mamas, I just wanted to pop in really quickly and let you know that I have written a children's book. It's called My Little Hands. This is an old proof copy. My new one's coming in the mail. It's called My Little Hands. It is inspired by Montessori practical life activities. And I've had this story in my head for a couple of years. It started when my daughter was a toddler, and I was setting up Montessori practical life activities with her, like getting a learning tower and letting her cut veggies with me and getting herself dressed and all of those types of things. So it just walks through the day and all the different things your child's little hands can do. It has a sweet little ending, and it also rhymes. I don't know if you know this, but rhyming is actually good for language development. And my kids love it. They also love realistic illustrations, and that's in here too. So if you want to support me, there's a link below to get a free copy of my book in exchange for a review. That would mean the world to me. And if you're catching this after the launch, then you can check out the Amazon link below too. I hope you check it out. I hope you love it. I can't wait to hear from you. Catch you later. And in case you're wondering why I'm kind of whispering, it's because I have my baby here in the carrier and he's sleeping very lightly. So I'm going to let him get back to a peaceful nap.
So I've always been very career driven. I never planned on having children. I started working when I was 13 and have been working ever since. And I've been pretty independent and supporting myself ever since. So I worked as a dental assistant and a barista, worked 7 days a week to put myself through my undergraduate program. I got an undergraduate degree. I couldn't decide. So I have pre med. I did anthropology, linguistics, communication, and then teaching English as a second language with an emphasis on helping immigrants adjust to the United States. And after that, I was like, oh, that's not enough things. So I ended up going on and getting my master's degree in English with an emphasis in technical writing.
Mm.
And I got offered a job working for the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, with their scientists, kind of transcribing technical documentation into user-friendly, plain language.
Wow. That's quite a journey. Did you go to undergrad for 4 years and got all of those subjects covered?
I
Yeah.
I did because I was very driven and very motivated, and I knew what I wanted to do with my career, and I wanted to try a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, I have the rest of my life to have my career, so I was really excited about that.
Yeah. That reminds me of me a little bit because I went in it's a whole long story about how I didn't think I was quite smart enough to be an engineer, so I was afraid to. So I went in undecided, and then I ended up kind of realizing that I was kind of keeping up with the other kids in these classes, and so then it was like this thing to try to catch up and stay on track with everyone. So I had quite a stressful college time as well. So you were getting your master's when you got pregnant, right?
Yes. So I was told that I would most likely never be able to have children. And if I did have children, it would require a lot of medical expert
Hmm.
support. So I had it, and I was okay with that because I'd never wanted kids, and it was good. And my then boyfriend at the time, he didn't want any children, so we felt really good about what path we were on. And then unexpectedly was first signs of pregnancy, really sick, completely denied it, ended up taking a pregnancy test as a joke for my boyfriend, found out I was pregnant and was shocked. A couple of weeks later, COVID erupted. And so my whole master's program went into disarray. I was teaching English, undergraduate English at the university. So I was teaching several classes and taking classes towards my master's degree at the time. And it kind of put my whole world into a tailspin on a personal level and then a global global level
Wow.
as well. Um, and so I had my son. I had him in the middle of my master's degree program. I didn't have anybody to cover or help with my classes. So a few hours after giving birth from my hospital bed, I was grading papers and working, submitting assignments, and life kind of continued like that. Didn't take any maternity leave, get any time off.
Mm.
And then a few months after that, I should say a couple weeks after that, my husband was like, I'm getting a vasectomy because we're like, now we know you can have kids, and I'm going to get a vasectomy. So we got a vasectomy. And a couple months after that, we found we were unexpectedly pregnant with my second.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was only 4.5 months postpartum, and I was still finishing my degree. And so I managed to finish that master's degree, and I was working part time from home and also with the kids. And it was getting to a point where I was like, I can't keep up with all of this, trying to do the career. And it was, my heart really goes out to women who are struggling to determine if they should stay home, if they should have the career. Because I know personally how hard it is. You love your baby so much, but it's really hard to watch something that you've worked for however many years start to slip through your fingers, and having to let go in that realization that I might not ever get this back, and that's okay. There will be something else for me down the road. And having to remind yourself that it's okay if your classmates carry on without you, and your peers and your colleagues, and the job and the promotion passes you by, because there is time. There will be time.
Yeah, that's a hard mindset shift to get through. So both of your babies were unexpected. How did you feel about about becoming a mom? You had no plans to be a mom. Was that really difficult, or were you just like excited, or how was that?
It was very difficult. I'm not going to lie. I love my baby so much. Now life, I wouldn't change my life knowing what it is now. But at the time, I was devastated. I cried and cried and cried. And absolutely no judgment to women who decide to terminate a pregnancy or decide that that's not the right step for them. For me, it wasn't something that I felt I was ready to do. And so I was like, well, the alternative is having this baby, and I'm going to do my best to show up and be the best that I can be for them. And I realized as time was going on that I was trying to live two lives at the same time. I was trying to be the ever present career woman who was like, I'll take on the extra project, I'll do the extra thing. um, I ended up turning down the job at the White Sands Missile Range because it was like, oh, I'd have to move my whole family there. And I don't know how I can work this really competitive, largely male dominated field with my children. And it really got me thinking. The premise of why I started writing my book is like, what societal pressures are there on women that we feel the need to have the career, but yet our society isn't structured to help us have a career and to help us balance children. It's like we get left behind. And then what's going on as well within us internally that make us feel like, of course I need to sacrifice myself. Of course I need to sacrifice my career. That's my job. That's my calling. And I'm a bad mom if I don't do that.
Mm-hmm. So, what was the transition like for you then to having all of that, having the whole career, and then becoming a stay-at-home mom?
I think that it was very hard and it took time to reevaluate my self-worth, what I used to define who I was and my value. Um, because I think a lot of times, especially in North America, we associate our careers with our value. Somebody who's a doctor or a lawyer will associate their career with their value, and
Yeah.
it seems all prestigious and valuable. Versus someone who's a stay-at-home mom. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to women who are stay-at-home moms, and they're almost embarrassed to say what they do, which I think is so heartbreaking because we're literally shaping the next generation. We're shaping the next policymakers, the way society is structured, the way people believe, what ends up being advocated for. Like we're literally the shaping the future of an entire world. And so I think there's no shame in that. And it's really tragic to me that we live in a day and age where people feel ashamed to talk about that and to say that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the biggest thing for me was taking my self-worth and self-value and defining it a different way. And that was really hard because I've worked my whole life and I've been very independent since I was 13. And so to having to rely on somebody else for a lot of my income and needs was really scary, and intimidating. And it was nothing to do with my husband and everything to do with the fact that I was like, oh, my value is in the fact that I provide for myself and I'm independent and I'm a working woman and I don't need a man to take care of me. Um, and then also just taking a few minutes to be like, what do I value most outside of what society tells me I need to do, outside of what everybody tells me I need to be or who I am? Who who do I want to be and what life do I want to structure? And if that ends up being a stay-at-home mom, then I don't feel I refuse to feel shame in that. And if that ends up being a career mom, I also refuse to feel shame in that. Because there's shame and self-doubt and judgment on both sides of the spectrum.
Right. Was your husband pretty supportive of the change? Or boyfriend? I'm not sure
He,
what.
yeah, husband now, but he was very supportive. I think one of the biggest wake up calls for us was I was working 40 hours a week at Google in a remote job, helping train their AI software.
Mm.
And I was working also 20 hours a week, part time remotely as a program director for an after school program after I graduated. And he was almost 8 months old, and I was 3 months pregnant. And I was so sick and tired and run down. And I was full time at home with him. We didn't have any childcare, no family around for support. Um, and I was so sick and tired, and I fainted carrying him down our cement stairs. And he
Man.
ended up falling, and I fell face first on my belly. He ended up falling. I had to be helicoptered to the hospital, and they told me that he might not live
Oh my
because he had
goodness.
a traumatic brain injury. And then they told me if he did live, he might not be able to live a full life. And I think that was the wake up call
That's
of the reality
terrifying.
that
Yeah.
it was like, what am I doing? Like, what are my priorities? What are my values? I'm sleeping like 2 hours a night to meet all these expectations and to try and have it all because the world is telling me I should have it all. I live in a modern age. My grandma told me all the time, you're so lucky that you live in this age with all these opportunities, and I wish I had that. And then it made me feel guilty, like I wasn't taking advantage of the opportunities. And the
Mm.
women who could do it all must have found this amazing hack that I hadn't found in my life, and something was wrong with me for not being able to do it all well. And miraculously, my little guy, when we got there, they took another MRI of his brain, and they said we can't explain it, but the bleeding stopped. They're like, he's going to be fine. And to this day, he's 3.5 and very healthy, normal, hit all his milestones. And I feel like it was the reality I needed to be like, what? what life do I want? And is this
Mm,
actually living this chaotic stress, burnout, trying to do everything and be everyone's everything all the time?
yeah. So you are still stay at home now then with your little ones?
Yes, I do. We're actually considering homeschooling, which I told my then boyfriend, now husband, that I was like, whatever you ask me to do, I'm never homeschooling these kids. I was like, nope, not doing that. And then it's amazing how how you change when you have kids, and how the things you thought were so important kind of shift balance and focus. And I think that if I could encourage anyone in anything to just take a step back and really write down and evaluate, who am I? What do I love? What do I want my life to look like outside of all the noise and all of what everybody tells me I should want or I should do, or what my kids do need, whether it be homeschooling, staying home, pursuing the career, putting your children in daycare? What is it that you need? Because I think quality time with your kids is more important than quantity. And if you're happy and you're content and you're fulfilling your purpose of who you are as a person, your children pick up on that, and it creates a beautiful relationship and a beautiful balance with your children, even if you're not at at home all the time. I would encourage women, if you're just staying home and making this big sacrifice and you're angry and bitter about it and depressed, it's probably not what you or your children need at this season, and that's okay. Um, and then if you decide that you want and need to do the career and you're miserable and you feel guilty all the time about leaving your kids, but you feel guilty about quitting, then I would encourage you to be like, what are the values that hold dear to my heart, and what I need and what I need my life to look like, regardless of what other people think.
Yeah. So you're clearly still you, driven and wanting to do things
Yeah.
that are your own things, right? So how do you do that with two little ones? How do you balance it? Like, how do you find the time? How do you sleep? All of these things.
Um, so I think my biggest thing is I still tend to be very motivated and driven and a little bit of a perfectionist. I still have to take moments where I'm like, we're not running ourselves into the ground to do this. It's okay if it takes longer. It's okay if it's a process. So, for example, I started writing my book. And writing a book with two toddlers was is a big endeavor. And also, I just work very part time now as a content writer, and I pick and choose what jobs I take. So that's kind of a little extra something for me. But in the meantime, I was like, I made a commitment to myself. So I go to bed at a decent time, usually by 9 o'clock, and I get up at 5 a.m. And that hour and a half before the kids wake up is when I write, I work on a project for myself, I exercise, I do something that I'm passionate about for me. That's just all about me. And I don't feel guilty about it, or like, oh, there's always laundry to do, there's always a kitchen to clean. There's always something that needs to be done. But I realized for me, if I didn't take that set time for myself every day, then I was losing myself. And in losing myself, my family was losing me as well, like the authentic, happy, driven, motivated person that I am. And I didn't want to lose myself in motherhood.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I a lot of what you're saying kind of resonates with me. And the problem that I have is that, so I've always, not always, sleep, my daughter's sleep was a very long journey. Getting any sleep was a long, long journey. We ended up co sleeping, and that's how I ended up being able to get some sleep, more sleep. And she still sleeps with me now. And if I wake up in the morning, she's up within 30 minutes. And that's just how it is. So I've had to try to like figure out my own way. I mean, I've only been full-time stay at home for like 2 weeks. I've been working from
Oh,
home.
wow.
I've been working from home for, well, since COVID started, I've been working from home. And she's about 3 now. So I got to figure out how I'm going to balance everything.
Yes. Well, congratulations. That's a huge step.
Thank
How
you.
are you doing with that transition? How do you
I
feel
live
you're
in
handling
the
it?
Midwest, and summer is a really busy time. And so I feel like, because like we all kind of come out of our hibernation, and
Yeah.
so I feel like since I stopped working, there's been a lot of stuff filling up my time, and so I haven't gotten to settle into anything yet. And so I think it's going to take me a little bit of time to figure that out. We need to figure out new routines, because I can tell my daughter's kind of shaken up, because we had a nanny in the house every day till a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. So she's trying to adjust to that too. She loves spending the extra time with me though. I can tell. Because there were times when she just didn't want to go to the nanny. You know, she's like, I want a mommy day.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
I think it's going to be good. I just have to figure out what it looks like for me.
I'm really excited for you. I think it is a hard transition, especially you had a very sounds like a very successful career. You ended up graduating with your bachelor's in of science,
Yeah,
right?
so
In
I
engineering.
went to engineering school and then I worked a few places and then most recently I worked at Apple for 7 years. Kind of rose up through the
Oh,
ranks
wow.
and yeah, walked away from that.
And I feel like I can really empathize with that. Like, oh, I put in a lot of work and time, and now I'm walking away from something with the knowledge that I might be starting completely over again when I'm done.
Yeah, but it
Um,
feels right. And I've been thinking about this for a few
yeah,
years and it's like it's what I want. It's also just like there's the piece
yeah.
of you that's, peeling off or going, you have to figure out what that is.
Yes, and I think no matter how much you want it, it's always scary to let go of a season of life or something you've worked hard for. Or I like to tell women, like, a core piece of your identity, like our work and our job is a core piece of who we are. And it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm letting that go now. And I'm trading it for this other thing that's really scary. And there's no guidebook. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. And I
You
hope
don't
I'm
know what
doing
you're
it
doing.
well.
You don't get any type of feedback. No one tells you you're doing a great job. No one's thankful for what you're doing. It's just like you just go from your corporate job where you're getting feedback and promotions and, projects are completing and you're feeling good about that. And then you go to being a mom and it's just like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just there's no like project, orientation. There's just you give to your kids. And I mean, it's really rewarding. I don't mean to say that it's all bad. I really love it. It's just different.
No, it is. It definitely is. And I think it's nice to talk. That's why it's so nice to talk to other moms of like, oh, it's normal for some days to be so slow and boring. And it's normal for it to be like, I don't want to sweep up this same patch on the floor for the sixth time today. Like it's all very normal. And I think that it's nice to be able to be like, yeah, there are things about a traditional work environment that definitely have its perks. It's nice to hit those milestones. It's nice to have a promotion. It's nice to be like, I worked this many hours and now I have a paycheck versus like, I worked 100 hours this week and I still have a screaming toddler, but
Yeah.
that's okay. But I think, like you said, when you mentioned that, like your daughter was like, I just need a mommy day. Like they only need you, like they need you right now for such a short period of
Hmm.
time. And you never get those years back. Um, and I know my little guy, they would see me get out my laptop and he would start crying and they would hide my laptop because
Uh,
they're like, Mommy works all the time. Mommy works all the time. And I think that's so heartbreaking when they don't understand because all they see is you're not a big enough priority. And
hmm.
I'm like, and of course there are cases where it's like, I do need to work. I do need to provide for you.
Yeah.
But finding that balance of like, oh, maybe I don't need the big promotion. Maybe I don't need the high stress job. Maybe I don't need all of these things that I've equated my value to because all they care about is that I show up. And it's more important to show up for them right now.
Exactly. Yeah. That is such a great story. You packed this episode with a lot of advice. Do you have anything you want to leave the audience with? Any advice, or maybe tell
Just a
us a little bit
second.
about your book? Because I think it's pretty on topic with what we're discussing right now.
Oh, thank you. I do think so. My book talks about different areas of burnout. Each chapter dives into a different burnout area. So we talk about information burnout, all the different pieces of information that we get bombarded with on a daily basis, and how we pick and
This is a book
choose.
geared towards mamas, though, right?
It is,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep. It's all about mamas. So information burnout in relation to parenting, in relation to your
Yes.
child. And then mental health burnout in relation to the mental toll it takes caring for another human being, and identity burnout and how easy it is to lose ourselves in our children and forget who we are and what we like because we're just giving pieces of ourselves every day to our children. Um, and then we talk about body burnout, like that body dysmorphia of after you have a baby, that drive and pressure to get your body back and make it look better than before and to bounce back. Um, when I talk a little bit about the judgment burnout when you judge yourself, how you judge other moms, um, that inability to be authentic in motherhood because we're so scared of somebody telling us we're doing it wrong and confirming all of our fears that we really are a horrible mom. Um, and then that guilt burnout cycle where you feel guilty about all the things you're doing. So you push harder, so you burn out more. So then you step back more and you feel guilty, and it just kind of continues. And those are some of the topics that we talk about a little bit, and finding your way back to yourself and giving yourself a little bit of grace in the journey, just like you give your children grace, giving yourself grace. We talk a little bit about matrescence, which is that transition, which is common and kind of akin to when you're going through puberty, of like that transition to motherhood, and how it's such a time filled with hormonal changes, emotional changes, physical changes, and how we don't give ourselves enough time to really process that change, and how important it is to take the time to realize and recognize your life will never be the same, and that's okay. And it's okay to mourn who you were before you had your kids. And it's okay to celebrate who you're becoming now that you have your kids. And motherhood is a beautiful thing, but it also is a season of loss because you're saying goodbye to pieces of yourself that will never be the same again. And that's okay. That's part of life. But I think it's important to recognize those changes that we make that are often brushed under the table.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a great book. I hope I'll link to it in the episode so that the audience can grab a copy. Where can
Oh,
they
thank
find
you.
you? Do you have social media or anything like that?
Yeah, so I have Facebook, I have Instagram. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite when it comes to social media. I don't love it. I have to push myself to be like, oh yeah, I need
Same,
to post something for
same.
someone.
Yep.
Yes. And then as you know, as a mom, it's really hard to be like, I have a million things to do, and the last thing I want to do is come up with something witty and creative and fun for social media, but I need to do something. So,
Yep.
um, I think it's and especially you kind of in this journey and season of entrepreneurship, it's like you wear a lot of hats as a mom, and then you wear a lot of hats as an entrepreneur. And it's like, what hat do I have on right now? And what am I doing?
Yep. Yeah, I totally get it. Alyssa, this was a really awesome conversation. Your story was really, I think, inspirational, I would say, for moms to figure out that the path for especially career driven people to become a stay at home mom is really tough to navigate. So thank you for sharing that. And I think the audience will get a lot of value from that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to talk with you.
Awesome. Hey, mamas, I just wanted to pop in quickly. As you know, we recorded this episode with Alyssa a long time ago, about a year ago. And since then, she has released a book. It's called Mommy Needs a Minute, From Burnout to Empowerment. You can find it on Amazon. It's linked below. It has great reviews. I hope you check it out.